President of the Ghana Charismatic and Pentecostal Council, Reverend Professor Paul Paintsil, has welcomed the latest statement from the police warning pastors and other religious leaders against prophecies that are likely to cause fear and panic and disturb public peace. Ahead of church services usually held to mark the end of the year and to usher in a new year, various religious leaders announced prophecies, sometimes declaring the death of persons. The police say while freedom of religion is guaranteed under the Constitution, the communication of prophecies of harm, danger and death by some religious leaders can cause tension in society. According to the police statement signed by Director of Public Affairs of the Police Superintendent Alex Obeng, persons found guilty of such practices could be liable to prison terms. But speaking to Joy News, Reverend Professor Paul Paintsil lauded the police for their proactiveness on the issue, who also decried the way some pastors go about their prophecies.
I think when we talk about policing, we are talking about peace, safety and security of the populace. So if there's anything that will bring peace, safety and security, then it should be on board. And it's good that they have been proactive to some of these things. On the other hand, our Constitution guarantees freedom of religion and freedom of association. But our freedom should be within the framework of the Constitution. One's freedom should not also affect another person's freedom or safety and security. Well, as a Christian and a Bible preacher, I believe in prophecy. That is God speaking to his people now. I also believe in predictive prophecy, that God speaking in the future. And some prophets, whether we like it or not, will make some of us uncomfortable. Some will give us comfort. To me, prophecy is not wrong, but how we deliver it, the fears and the threats that are associated with. So the police statement, I read one line which gave me some form of consolation, that they are not against prophecy, they are not opposed to it. But if you follow the last few years, most of the prophecies that come, especially at the 31st December, is about who will die. Police is trying to say is that we should be cautious, we should be ethical, we should handle some of these things.
He also explained that they will continuously engage the police administration on the matter to deal with issues some members of the clergy may have.
Well, we have already met them, I think, some few months ago when the IGP took office. He invited all the faith leaders. The challenge was that those people who actually give these prophecies were not part of the meeting. And that was the problem. And so I remember people saying that the police are prophecy. That was never the case. But they were telling us how we should cooperate with them to bring peace in the nation. You see somebody kicking against a pregnant woman in the church. It was abnormal. These are some of the excesses the police were guiding us. They were advising us that we should be careful and exercise restraint in whatever we do. I think at the moment they haven't engaged with us again, but I have read their piece. But what gave me consolation is that they are not against prophecies, one of the bullet points. And so I think they are not going to witch hunt prophets. But then if you also go over the board, I don't think you will go scot-free, because many times the Bible even tells us that when true, the person should be stoned. So if there should be some kind of things that will bring sanity in the prophetic ministry.
Meanwhile, a legal practitioner and head of Paintsil & Co., Kweku Paintsil, has described the statement from the police as strange and not enforceable. According to him, any attempt by the police through the states to control the terrain of prophecies will infringe on the rights to religion and freedom of speech.
I really have my doubt if there is a proper legal basis for the police statement. I can see the police statement as any statement, any advice that any public interested body may wish to convey to the citizens or to people of this country. It's like anybody advising a pickpocket that around Christmas there's a lot of pickpocketing, and we are even pickpocketing. This is what we do. The difficulty about the police statement, as I find it, It's generally about the difficulty about enforcing speech, what to say, what not to say. Don't forget that not only criminal aspect of it, we also have the civil aspect of freedom of speech. So my freedom to speak will not permit me to, for instance, defame you. The difficulty is whether a court of law, for instance, can make an order directed to me not to defame you. There can be no such power of the court. But as soon as I defame the person, the cause of action arises. Difficulty is whether a court of law, for instance, can make an order directed to me not to defame you. There can be no such power of the court. But as soon as I defame the person, the cause of action arises. In the same way with prophecies, indeed, dealing with these ones, we are even getting into spiritual matters. And the whole idea of what somebody is likely to say to find himself liable in criminal conviction for a statement that he has made is quite murky. That's the way I will put it. Because the idea, or what the police said, indeed, legislation exists for speech, hate speech, speeches or statements that are likely to create panic and fear and so forth and so on. But the crunch, the real issue is the ability of the police or any complainant to demonstrate that any particular speech or any particular statement that anybody made or, yes, made created fear and panic. And that's the difficulty. It has not happened, to my knowledge, whether anybody has even been convicted in this country for any kind of speech, especially with regard to a church activity.
Samson Nadia is host of Newsfile and the Law on the Joy News channel, and he joins us with further perspective. Good afternoon, Samson. Now, what is the legal basis for such pronouncements by the police?
I think the statement by the police is welcoming, and it is good for all well-meaning citizens to embrace in their attempt to sanitize particularly the airwaves, as these prophets, some of them clearly engage in charlatanic prophecies ahead of the 31st night. It is good that they put it out. And you would know that the police had already had meetings with the clergy and all other religious bodies. And I was privileged, together with Ace and Kuma, to make presentations of what the law is to them. Now, let me read section 74 and 75 of the Criminal Offences Act to you. It says that whoever threatens any other person with unlawful harm, with intent to put that person in fear of unlawful harm, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. And then 75 says whoever threatens any other person with death, with intent to put that person in fear of death, is guilty of a second-degree felony. So, in this regard, one is looking to go to jail for about 10 years, and in the first instance of a threat of harm, one is looking to go to jail for about 3 years. Now, what is instructive is that it says, if you issue a statement to me, and the statement is one that is of a threat, that is intended to put me in fear of harm. Not that you have actually harmed me or you have hit me with any instrument to harm me, but what you have done has put me in fear of harm. And the second one is that the comments and things you have said have put me in fear of death. So why not? If the normal thing they usually do is to call on celebrities, people well known, and say that I can see so and so, and I can see you dying in an accident. You are driving on so and so street, and whatever may happen to you if you don't immediately. That can get the person to fear, and in fact, that can result in the person actually getting harmed. Without it, they would not have apprehended any fear of harm or of death.
Yeah.
So The police have simply communicated what the law is. The religious right, like any other right, it is not without limitation. They have actually also referred to the Electronic Communications Act, which is against giving false information.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you give information that is false, we are uncovered. Some of these preachers will get up and say, if you take a jab, it is the number of some 666 or 999. Something will happen to you. All of that is misleading, and it will endanger public safety. So the police is absolutely right. In fact, in civil, there are also civil remedies where, because in law a situation happened, somebody made a statement, and that statement triggered fear in another person. That alone was sufficient for the court to hold that the person who caused the person to fear and suffered what is known as a nervous shock was entitled to be compensated in money.
But Samson, does this directive not infringe on individual rights to speech and religion?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Of course, all of us who are Christians, Bible-believing people, we are not against prophecies. We receive prophecies, we welcome them. But these charlatanic prophets, they do not have a right. Their right do not extend to creating fear and panic within society. Their right of religion does not extend to mentioning popular people in town. You watch it, they will do it again. As if they have written these things down and waiting on the 31st night to start calling people by name. They will say this musician. They will say this presenter. Why? Are there no ordinary people in society they can talk to? And why? Even these respectable, respected people, can they talk to them privately? What decency? Can they talk to them privately? Well, the law, as I have read to you, once they do and they run overboard, I'm sure when the IGP issues this clear, as it were, caution, and if you read their message, it's so measured, it's so decent, and I just love it. If they overstep and somebody gets arrested, they should go to the court and start preaching whatever they want to talk about. The fact is that if you are talking about a prophecy, you can't prove, you can't prove the truth of it. In these cases, it is only the truth of it that will save you. You can't prove it. So if they want, when they get arrested, they should show up in court and prove that.
All right. Thank you very much. That is lawyer Samson Nadi, and he's also the host of Newsfile and the Law here on the Joy News channel.